News from where you live coming up next.
Rachel's here with the weather, and there's also a royal in the region.
Well, more news now from Essex, Suffolk and Norfolk, and campaigners fighting to have a controversial fence removed from the quayside in Essex are threatening legal action. It's a year since the fence was erected at Mistley on the River Stour. Protest group Free the Quay say opposition is still strong, and they're urging the company which owns the fence to talk to them. TW Logistics say the fence had to be put up for health and safety reasons.
A group of gypsies in Essex have won a legal battle to prevent the local council from evicting them from a site at Blackmore near Chelmsford.
Today's ruling in the High Court denied Brentwood Council an injunction that would have forced the travellers to leave. Lorna Ramsey has more.
Things may look quiet and peaceful here in Blackmore, but a lot of people here are very upset about a judgment this afternoon. It's all about travellers that moved onto a Greenbelt site illegally just up the road from here at Easter. Now, Brentwood Borough Council was seeking an injunction to get them evicted, but a judge has turned that down. A lot of people living here say that the travellers shouldn't be allowed to stay.
So other people in the area can't get permission to put a conservatory up or a porch or something because of planning restrictions, yet these people can come and take over and get planning permission by just force majeure, and I don't think that's right.
It doesn't surprise me, you know, they've got a brief and that, and they've done very well, haven't they?
If they put it there and they don't trouble me, I don't mind.
Well, I've spoken to some of the traveller families this afternoon, and they didn't want to appear on camera, but they did tell me that they've bought the land and they want to stay. They say their children are in local schools and they need access to proper healthcare. The judge agreed with them and said that any hardship to the Gipsy family outweighed any impact on the Greenbelt. The judge also said that the families had a realistic prospect of achieving planning permission on appeal.
Lorna there. Now, he's been a stalwart of the local sporting scene for nearly 20 years, but now boxer Jon Thaxton from Taverham in Norfolk has announced he's going to retire.
The 35-year-old lightweight has decided he's fought his last round. Laura Burns went to meet him.
As he stepped into the ring last Saturday, few people realised this was to be Jon Thaxton's last ever fight. The Norwich boxer was stopped in the 4th round of his British lightweight title fight against John Murray. And now he's announced his time in the ring has also come to a halt.
Today, you know, after 17 years of boxing, it's time to call it a day. It's time to sort of like walk away from the sport. I've had some great times in boxing. You know, I turned through just after my 18th birthday. I'm 35 now, so you know, it's time to walk away. Sad times, but I think it's the right time to do it.
Thaxton first fought professionally in the early 90s, beginning his career as a light welterweight. In April 2005, he took the WBF world title against Christophe Debussier at the Norwich Sports Village. In December 2006, he became British lightweight champion, a title he held until June 2008. And in October of that year, he was crowned European lightweight champion at the Norfolk Showground, flooring Juan Carlos Diaz-Malero in the 3rd round. Alongside boxing, Thaxton has been working as a personal trainer and holding motivational workshops in gyms and schools. But now the tables are set to turn, as instructors here train him for next year's London Marathon.
Since I've been 8 years old, I've always had challenges, I've always had goals in my life when it comes to fitness. And I thought when I retire, I've got to carry on with them goals to get me up in the morning.
So that is definitely it?
That is it for me. You know, I can walk away head held high and very proud of what I've achieved.
So this time, no chance of a comeback. But it seems Thaxton plans to be as busy out of the ring as he ever was in it. Laura Burns, Anglia News, Taverham in Norfolk.
Well, it's been a terrific career and good luck in that London Marathon. Wow. Right, Norwich City manager Paul Lambert says stay-away goalkeeper Michael Theoklitos still has a future at the club. Lambert was furious when the Australian failed to turn up for the Johnson's Paint Trophy tie at Gillingham in mid-week, but he says the matter is now closed and the goalie may well be in the squad for the weekend trip to Carlisle.
I've spoken to Michael. Everybody knows the situation of it, and as far as I'm concerned, the matter's closed and it's been dealt with. So he's not a bad lad or anything like that, and it's been dealt with within the club.
So he'll be joining your squad on Saturday?
There's a possibility that he'll be there.
Colchester United are at lowly Leyton Orient on Saturday. The youths have been on an impressive run since Adi Boothroyd took over as manager. But he's expecting a tough game and says it's the ideal chance for his players to show they can perform well against struggling outfits as well as League One's top teams.
I said that the games against Huddersfield and Charlton would be a measuring stick. But I think this is the biggest stick to measure us by because, you know, anybody can raise their performance against the top teams. It's the teams that are fighting for their lives that I tend to get a lot more of an idea about what a player's consistency levels are. So we've got 2 great games coming up now where we can get a good look at the players.
Adi Boothroyd turning things around at Colchester. Cricket, and there's been mixed news for 2 Essex players with the announcement of the squads for the winter tour to South Africa. Alistair Cook continues as vice-captain in the Test side and has also been included in the one-day squad as well. But there is disappointment for Ravi Bopara, though, who started the year as an England regular, but he ends it on the sidelines after being dropped from both of the squads.
The Conservative conference has wrapped up in Manchester with the keynote speech from party leader David Cameron.
He said there were difficult times ahead, but set out a vision for a future Conservative government. First, he faces an election next year in which our region will be a key battleground with more than a dozen Tory targets.
Well, just after the speech, we spoke to our political correspondent, Emma Hutchinson, and asked what Mr Cameron had to say.
Well, this was a speech that was really more about personality than policies. David Cameron wanted to set out who he is, what he believes in, what makes him tick, and he talked about how important the NHS is, how important the family is to him. There weren't many policy announcements in there, but we have heard various policy announcements during the week from other members of the shadow cabinet. He set out a general vision for how he believed Britain could be under a Conservative government. He said that he believed a Conservative government could get Britain through the tough times, talking about tackling the government debt. He said there would be tough choices to be made.
We will be tested. I will be tested. I am ready for that, and so, I believe, are the British people. So, yes, there is a steep climb ahead, but I tell you this, the view from the summit will be worth it.
Now, as you can imagine, his speech went down really well here in Manchester with the Conservative Party faithful. After the speech, I spoke to Shadow Housing Minister and Hertfordshire MP and asked him what he thought of it.
I thought it was really actually quite emotional in places. People out of the country won't necessarily see the whole speech or think that, but I mean, he really spoke from the heart in lots of ways, not just about the NHS, but also just about the kind of the mess that we've got ourselves into in this country.
Well, Emma, let's bring it closer to home then. What's Mr Cameron's task then here for the eastern counties, do you think?
Well, the Conservatives might be going home from here with rather a spring in their step, but there is a tough task ahead. If you look at our region, well, there are 17 Labour seats under fire. The top Tory target is Harlow in Essex, majority there, just a couple of hundred votes. Further down the list, places like Milton Keynes and Northamptonshire, majorities there of around 1,000 to 1,500 votes. But winning those seats would only lead to a hung parliament. So to actually win, to get David Cameron into Downing Street, well, the Tories would need to win seats like Ipswich and Waveney and Suffolk. They'd have to turn around Labour majorities of about 5,000, 6,000 votes. Of course, David Cameron wants to get into Downing Street, not just with a majority of 1, but probably with a majority of 60 or 70 seats. To do that, he'd have to win seats in places like Luton and Norwich, hold on to that Norwich North seat. So that's quite a tough task. It would basically mean turning our whole region blue. So we go home from here from the last conference season before the next general election. Really, the starting gun has been fired and the campaign begins now.
Emma, thanks very much.